Our next session is Delivering Business Impact with Software as a Service, and it's sponsored by 4R Systems. So to provide a brief introduction, I'd like to invite Jerry Necklabaugh. He's president and CEO with 4R Systems, and have him come up to the stage and he'll introduce the next speaker.
Thank you, Delaney, and I'd like to thank everyone at NRF for throwing this premier industry event. It's really a great place. Excuse me. I've been privileged to come here for, 5 or 6 years, and there are a lot of people here that I've made friends with, so I always look forward to that. And in addition to the camaraderie, I think that what we have is a great exchange of ideas. I think it's fair to say that over the last decade, the Internet it's been a 10-year or a decade of the Internet. And as we've heard earlier today, mobile computing is probably out there right now in this year and next year in the near future. And those are all mechanisms to try and essentially get to the revenue stream and make the revenue stream more accessible, make ourselves be able to communicate better with consumers. And I think one of the interesting challenges, though, for retailers is that we only actually make money when we monetize that revenue stream by fulfilling demand with product and inventory. And that's what 4R does. So one of the things that by driving the top line, trying to drive the bottom line and profitability is important. So I'm really happy to introduce one of our clients, Josh Jewett, ladies and gentlemen. We're happy to sponsor this next session, Delivering Business Impact with SaaS. The featured speaker is Josh Jewett. He's the SVP of IT and Procurement and CIO with Family Dollar Stores. He has strategic and operational responsibility for all aspects of information technology for this $8 billion national discount retailer with over 6,600 stores. He leads a team that designs, develops, deploys, and supports all hardware and software, networking and telecommunications for all of Family Dollar's stores, regional offices, distribution centers, corporate campus, several hundred mobile employees, and internet presence. Josh is also responsible for assuring the Information Technology Department and its investment in technology align and support and deliver the company's vision to be the best small format convenience and value retailer serving the needs of families in our neighborhoods. So with that, please, I'd like to welcome Josh Jewett.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you all, and good morning. I'm always a little puzzled by the weather in Northern California, but it's a beautiful place, and I thank you all for coming, and as he said, it's a wonderful forum, and I appreciate being part of it, and hopefully our story will be interesting to all of you as well. I've been at Family Dollar for 8 years. This August is my 8th anniversary, and it's been a great place to be. The statistics keep going up, which is great. Last fiscal year was 7.4 billion. Currently, we're trending toward 8 this year, and it's still the same basic business it's been for quite a few years. The stores are small. We're located in small towns and big cities all over the country. They're all company-owned. They're not franchises. And to clear up any misconceptions there might be in the audience, we're not everything for $1. We tend to be rounded price point items, so most of the items in the store, more than half actually, are $1 or less, but we're at $1, $3, $5, $7, et cetera, and it's that rounded price point philosophy which has its roots in being simplistic and easy for customers to understand and do the math in their head. They'll come into your store with $10 or $20. That's all they got to spend. So their ability to add that up quickly in the buggy makes a big difference, and that's always been the case. Our mantra is value and convenience. You usually trade one for the other in retail, but not at Family Dollar, and some of our competitors aspire to do the same thing. Where our customers tend to be in the store for 10 minutes or less, and they'll buy 3 or 4 items, and the average ticket is a little under $10. And even though sales have been better over the recent economic times, it's still about the same basket size. We're just getting more baskets and more trips. A couple of years ago, or last year, excuse me, was our 50th anniversary, and our first store opened in Charlotte. And we've come a long way. We have over 6,700 locations, and we've been on a trajectory of opening, 200 or so stores for the past few years. But during some of our bigger years, we opened as many as 500 or 600 for several years. So when I started 8 years ago, we had about 4,600 stores. And today, as you can see, we've gone as far west as Idaho, Nevada, and Arizona, as far north as Maine. And we tend to backfill an awful lot. I get asked an awful lot about the states that aren't shaded in. And we'll get there. It's just a matter of time. It's much more efficient as a retailer to backfill into existing real estate where you have a supply chain, you have a workforce, and you have a brand identity. But as we continue to expand, inevitably we'll hit the Pacific Ocean sooner or later. We've also evolved into a pretty complex, inventory-intensive retailer. When we started in the late 50s, early 60s, we were all closeouts. It was all apparel. It was all $3 or less, and originally it was all manufactured in the state of North Carolina. We've changed quite a bit since then, and today all the stores carry a very similar assortment, and our biggest categories are food, cleaning products, paper products, everyday consumer basics. So we're sort of like a miniature Walmart, if you will, although we have far fewer items. We'll have about 4,800 items that we have on replenishment day in, day out in the store, 7,000 to 9,000 fashion items that come and go with the seasons. But generally speaking, it's a pretty small assortment crammed into a pretty small space. So the complexities that we have is a large decentralized nature of our business. Thousands and thousands of small stores. So $8 billion a year, average ticket $10. That's a lot of business and a lot of customer interactions. That growth over the years and that transaction volume has put a lot of strain on the IT department. And we have had to grow, adapt, and are constantly challenged, like everybody else in the room, on how we're going to drive value for our business. Increasingly, we're starting to do that with SaaS. I imagine everybody in the room has a pretty good working definition of what SaaS is. For the purpose of my discussion, I thought I'd share with you my working definition of it, and borrowed it from my friends at Jupiter. If you can't read it on the screen, I summarized at the bottom some of the key characteristics. And to me, it is software that's delivered via the browser. It doesn't run in your data center. It is a pay-as-you-go kind of subscription-oriented model. Obviously, there's several ways to construct that, but generally speaking, it's a rental agreement or a lease agreement as opposed to buying something and depreciating it on your balance sheet. It is a unique combination, and I think this is one of the key definitions of it. It is a blend of technology delivered to you as well as business partnership and business expertise. And that is a little bit different than what you get from a packaged software application vendor in my experience. In the case of a package vendor, you get a very good package. You'll get a lot of assistance deploying that package, installing it in your environment, but it is a SaaS solution. What marks a SaaS solution is they bring the business expertise to the table that can help you drive value from the solution. Whereas when you buy a package, generally speaking, the onus is on you and your business partners to do so. Likewise, I mentioned this already. It tends to be something, when it's run elsewhere, it's run by others. And it tends to be, often it can be in a shared services facility, can be a common infrastructure, a common database. I would say it's generally, but not always, impressive Tier 4 data center experience. I'll get back to that. And it's basically centralized software management. So essentially, my point is that SaaS offers that third alternative. So when you're asked as an IT shop to help drive business value and address business needs, there's a combination of factors that you weigh when you go into that decision, right? There's IT drivers, There's business drivers and there's external factors, competitive, regulatory, otherwise. And often we get asked, or we ask ourselves, should we buy it or should we build it? And in my view, SaaS offers an interesting third alternative. It doesn't make the first two obsolete. It's just a third alternative for you to consider. So what are the risks or considerations when choosing a SaaS solution? It is a little bit different than buying or building. I lay them out here, but essentially, just because it's relatively low-grade IT work, you still have to worry about integration. You have to worry about data privacy. You have to worry about data ownership. Sooner or later, SaaS relationships come and go, and if that data is pretty critical to your business, it needs to find its way back into your hands or needs to be destroyed. If it becomes a transactional system as opposed to just an analytical system, that too brings inherent risks of business continuity and stability to the table. And that's a fairly good segue into some of the considerations you have to weigh on the vendor side. Not only do you need a good contract, you have to assess whether this person, this firm, this team, and their technology is going to be there day in and day out for you as your customer expects. You do need SLAs, you need to be sure they're scalable, all those things that, in my view, the IT shop is uniquely positioned to gauge and assess for our partners in the business. Their expertise is not to make sure that IT partners meet their needs or will meet their needs or mitigate all risks associated with using them. That's our job in the IT organization, and I think it is a unique position, unique opportunity for us to help our customers drive value with SaaS solutions. And that's really what I talk about there on the bottom is the value equation. Is the unique combination of the SaaS partners' technology as well as their consulting or professional resources going to form a true partnership that helps the business drive value? And that's, SaaS viewed in one way as a competitive threat, right? If your IT organization has historically been about customized solutions or buying and putting in packages or what have you, there is a risk that your partners in the business could go off and sign up one of these SaaS deals unbeknownst to you as a competitive option in the portfolio. I don't think that's a good position to be in as an IT shop and IT organization. I think it should be we that approach the folks in the business and partner with them on assessing whether these things can drive unique value. So let me talk a little bit about us as a case study on this. So what was our challenge in 2008 when our story with 4R began? I mean, we were a successful retailer by most measurements, right? #1 stock in the S&P 500. And there was a huge demand for consumables. Our sales were good, folks were coming into our stores, we were moving a lot of product, a lot of inventory. But we, like so many in the room, were facing an adverse mix shift. As the sale of consumables went up fairly dramatically, we were under some margin pressure overall as a business, and we needed to find a way as sales went up to continue to maximize our profit. And the other challenge that we had is that we faced in this effort, or I should say I as an IT leader faced in this effort, is the inventory perceived they already did this inventory management thing pretty well. So it was a little bit of a challenge to get them to think about it differently, but I will credit my partners in the business for really rising to the occasion and doing that. They really did excellent work. During this time period, we too in IT were challenged like so many others in the room. We were challenged with budget and resource constraints, but we were also challenged constantly, and I'm sure many of you have heard this in the room as well. Why can't you be better? Why can't this solution be faster? Why can't it be cheaper? I often equate corporate IT to, it's kind of like the road crews you drive by on the way home from work, right? Every time you drive by highway construction, it seems to take forever. It costs a lot of money as a taxpayer, and every time you drive by, there's a bunch of people standing around doing nothing.